Autumn dresses up in gold, the richest season of the soul. Yes, indeed, autumn is rich because autumn teaches us that how beautiful it is to let go and welcome something new, to open up the gates of the heart, to welcome something that we haven't ever seen, and to let go of something that has to go. Well, as you can see on your screens, there is this beautiful golden color. And the nature is filled with beauties, colors all around. We look at it every day. I mean, do we really look at it every day? Yes, we see everything, but we hardly look. We hear everything, but we hardly listen. Today I'm going to take you to a very small event that may occur around us too, but we hardly notice that. But the poets, the people of literature, they have the art of noticing such small events and then portraying them in the most beautiful manner possible. One such is The Laburnum Top by Ted Hughes, a small, wonderful, meaningful poem in our syllabus. From Hornbill, this is the second poem in the syllabus. Ted Hughes was a British poet, translator, and children's writer. He was born on 17th August 1930 and died on 28th October 1998. Critics frequently rank him as one of the best poets of his generation and one of the 20th century's greatest writers. He was appointed Poet Laureate in 1984 and held the office until his death. In 2008, the Times ranked Hughes fourth on their list of the 50 greatest British writers since 1945. So it is very clear that Ted Hughes was a very prominent personality as far as the English literature world was concerned. And coming from the heart and the mind of this brilliant poet, we have this wonderful poem, The Laburnum Top. As you might have seen in this image, on your left is the laburnum top with yellow flowers and hanging flowers they are actually. So during the autumn season, it's all yellow. The laburnum top is all yellow. And on your right is a very small golden colored, yellow colored bird. The name of this bird is goldfinch. So when you look at the scenery of the tree and the bird, that golden color is prominent. And we are going to go through the poem that brings out the beauty of this golden color, as well as that how these two forms of nature, the laburnum top and the goldfinch, together they bring out such a mesmerizing event. But first, let's go through the poem. The laburnum top is silent, quite still. In the afternoon yellow September sunlight, a few leaves yellowing, all its seeds fallen. Till the goldfinch comes with a twitching chirrup, a suddenness, a startlement at a branch end. Then sleek as a lizard, and alert and abrupt, she enters the thickness, and a machine starts up, of chitterings and a tremor of wings and trillings. The whole tree trembles and thrills. It is the engine of her family. She stokes it full, then flirts out to a branch end, showing her barred face identity mask. Then, with airy, delicate whistle chirrup whisperings, she launches away towards the infinite, and the laburnum subsides to empty. So this is that small event. The bird enters into the tree, stays there and leaves. And as I said earlier, it's a very common thing, but we hardly see that. We hardly look at it. We hardly listen to the things around us. The poem is beautifully punctuated, beautifully sprinkled with movement words and sound words. And now let's go through the explanation part. But before that, let's see the basic theme of this, or the synopsis of the poem. The Laburnum Top is a very powerful poem which shows a simple natural event in a different light. The poem describes the laburnum tree whose seeds have not only fallen but also the leaves have turned yellow. It is an afternoon in September and the treetop is silent until a goldfinch appears. As soon as the goldfinch appears, there is a sudden strong tremor in the tree. There are noises of twitching of wings and chirping in the bird language. The whole tree trembles. The engine of the bird's family has appeared, that is, the mother goldfinch has brought food for her babies. The movement of the goldfinch is like a lizard, sleek and smooth. She is the engine of her family, which means she is working to provide nutrition to the family just like the engine is the major part of a machine. In the end, the goldfinch again launches herself in the sky in a mysterious way, and the laburnum is reduced to silence and emptiness again. Now, coming to the poem. The laburnum top is silent, quite still. In the afternoon yellow September sunlight, a few leaves yellowing, all its seeds fallen. So, this is the scenery presented to you, and it's a sunny autumn. The laburnum tree is silent and still. It is laden with golden yellow leaves and yellow flowers in September. Its leaves have turned yellow because of the autumn season and all its seeds have fallen. So when you picture the laburnum top during the autumn season in that yellow September sunlight, the poet conveys to you in a very clear manner that the abundant color here is yellow. And that is why in the very beginning I said that autumn is associated with that golden color. So you can imagine it, the beautiful yellow laburnum treetop and with hanging flowers all around. And it is absolutely quiet, absolutely still, that is, there is no sound and no movement at all. Until the goldfinch arrives. Till the goldfinch comes. With a twitching chirrup, a suddenness, a startlement at a branch end. So just then a goldfinch alights on the laburnum tree making short high-pitched sounds. The goldfinch has her nest in the tree and her chicks are resting in the nest. On the mother's return, a sudden movement stirs the tree. Her little ones are excited on her arrival and start chirping. The cautious mother enters the tree with a great care so that no predator can come to know that her babies are housed in the nest. So the bird enters, and the moment it enters, the chicks are awake and they come to know that the mother is here, she has brought food, and they were quiet until her arrival. And then they start chirping, and every leaf of the tree starts moving with those chicks. But I must mention this one point, that we have alliteration in September sunlight in the second line of the poem, that is, in the afternoon yellow September sunlight. So we have alliteration there. And here, moving forward, yes, the goldfinch enters into this tree top, and because the chicks are excited enough, so she is very cautious like a mother, and she enters very slowly so that no predator comes to know that there is a bird here, the chicks are inside. So like a mother, always caring and loving towards the children. Yes, I told you that there is alliteration in September sunlight, and we have onomatopoeia also, because there are many sound words, like the words that represent sound. In the figure of speech, a word is formed for a sound similar to it. So there are many words, sound words. Then coming to the next stanza, then sleek as a lizard and and alert and abrupt. She enters the thickness and a machine starts up. of chitterings and a tremor of wings and trillings. The whole tree trembles and thrills. It is the engine of her family. She stokes it full, then flirts out to a branch end, showing her barred face identity mask. So here basically all the important events are taking place. The poet has compared the alert, abrupt and sleek movement of the goldfinch with that of a lizard. The goldfinch has been called the engine of her family. So before that, the poet has compared the goldfinch to the lizard. Why? Because its movement is as smooth as a lizard. So the lizard, its movement is pretty smooth, it goes slowly, but throughout that time, the lizard is always alert and abrupt too. In the same manner, the goldfinch moves inside the laburnum top in a very slow and smooth manner, but it is alert and abrupt too, because it has to take care whether any predator is nearby or not. And the second comparison is made to the engine. It is the engine of her family. She is the engine of her family. Why so? Let's see. Just as the engine starts up the machine, her arrival in the nest has suddenly started up the silent machine, that is the nest. The young ones have started chittering and making noise. By feeding her young ones, she has added fuel to the machine, and as a result, the chicks now have the energy to be active and make noise. So this is what is happening here. She enters inside very smoothly, very silently, and once she enters, the machine starts up, the chicks start making the noise, they are very active, they are being fed, and they are very happy also. And that is why she happens to be the machine of her family. After feeding her chicks, the goldfinch flies up and rests on the end of a branch of the tree, her identity concealed behind the yellow flowers and yellowing leaves. So yes, the goldfinch feeding her little chicks, and you can see that they were eagerly waiting for this bird, their mother. Coming to this part, that showing her barred face identity mask, that's an important line. Now going for the literal meaning, it means that when she is sitting on the treetop, being hidden, because the branches or the flowers are always hanging and they are of the same color as hers. So if you look at the bird from a far away place, you cannot find out the little bird. You cannot guess whether there is a little bird there or not, because the hanging flowers work as the mask on her identity. The hanging flowers hide her identity. That is the literal meaning. Coming to the important part, that is the use of transferred epithet by the poet. A transferred epithet is one description which refers to a character or event but is used to describe a different situation or character. Her barred face identity mask is an example of transferred epithet in this poem. The flowers of the laburnum tree fall like bars, and when the bird sits behind the flowers, the shadow of the flowers on her face looks like she is wearing a mask that has bars on it. So what has happened is that because the flowers are hanging one after the other in a vertical manner, they appear like bars. And when you look from far away, it appears that the goldfinch is having bars on her face. That is because of the shadow. So the bars, that is barred, B-A-R-R-E-D, this adjective is basically associated with the hanging flowers. But this particular proportion, this particular beauty adjective is transferred to the goldfinch. The goldfinch doesn't have any bar, but because of the shadow, it appears to have the bars. And that is why we have transferred epithet here. Moving forward to the last part. Then with eerie, delicate whistle chirrup whisperings, she launches away towards the infinite, and the laburnum subsides to empty. Well, after some time, the goldfinch makes a strange, short, high pitched sound. Then she flies away towards the infinite sky. The laburnum tree becomes silent again after the departure of the goldfinch, and everything seems to be the same as it was before the arrival of the goldfinch. So, this is the small event. The bird arrives on the tree. Then there are lots of sounds and noises and movements in the tree. The tree tremors and thrills. The tree is completely excited about it. So, the tree enjoys the arrival of the goldfinch. The tree is excited when the goldfinch is there. The tree is basically alive when the goldfinch is there. And when it leaves, the tree becomes empty. And that is the difference between the beginning of the poem and the ending of the poem. In the beginning, the tree is waiting for the bird, and in the end, it becomes empty. And when do we have an empty container or a vessel? When something is being taken out, spilled out, when it is gone, then it becomes empty. In the same manner, the tree becomes empty once the goldfinch is gone. And that is how you can see that the tree misses the bird misses the tree is important for the bird, and so the bird is important for the tree. They complement each other. The tree needs the bird for all that excitement and thrill and music and life and movement and noises. The bird requires the tree for being a habitat for itself as well as its little ones, that are the chicks. So that is how the nature is. The nature is complementary. Mountain and water, hell and heaven, sky and earth, day and night. They are so different from each other, but they complement each other. The laburnum top is so big, but it needs that small bird for that excitement, for being alive. And the bird is so small, but it needs the tree that cannot move, but can work as the home for the goldfinch. So, this is what we should learn from the nature: to be grateful enough and to respond properly. We are taking away everything from the nature. We should respond properly. And this is what the lesson is, that all we need is each other. So, with this beautiful poem, the tree and the goldfinch, together they have taught us to be kind enough towards the other. And well, with this, I would like to close it. Thank you.